School choice is a hot topic of discussion, and many parents opt to send their kids to charter schools instead of traditional public school. However, there are efforts in the state to lift the cap on charter schools, a controversial issue. And tonight, in the first of a two-part discussion on the subject, we hear from a local parent who says her children deserve a better choice.
In August of this year, we filed a petition. Hopefully, it will go in the ballot of November 2016 when we go vote for the president. Here in Massachusetts, we could vote on whether to expand access to charter schools or not to. What this petition does is simply it gives the Board of Education more flexibility to add more charter schools. These charter schools would be added to districts that have the lower MCAS rates. Cities like Springfield, like Lawrence, like New Bedford, but also cities that have long waiting lists. Here in Springfield, we have almost 4,300 kids in waiting lists. So it would give priority to add these charter schools to these districts that need it the most and that want it the most.
And there's about 37,000 currently on waiting lists for charter schools across the state of Massachusetts. Yes. You're in that situation. You're not even on a waiting list yet. No. So, Michelle, you have 3 children. You're also raising your 2 nieces. What's your situation?
Well, the situation is that right now at this moment, we can't even get on a waiting list because they have so many. They only do it in January. There's no slots, and it don't make no sense why there's no slots when sometimes they only have like 20 kids in a class, and mind you, in public school, there's like 27, 30 kids in a class.
So you support, obviously, raising the cap, but
yes.
What is it that charter schools are doing right and better?
Well, it has been proved that charter schools achieve 4 to 6 times the growth that district schools achieve. And also Michelle has an awesome story about that. She has seen her kids, how they did in charter schools and how they're doing right now. And she can speak as a mother more on that. She has seen the growth personally. So why do you want to?
The charter school, I've seen them. Charter school is more guaranteed. They guarantee that your kids are going to pass. They on it. They on the testing. They're, like I said, more inactive. Me, I was able to go to the school, talk to the teachers. In public school, I had to make appointments just to have a meeting.
So is it more of a community feel?
Yes, it's more, charter school is more open. When the kids was in Holyoke Charter School, it was never, like they have, how can I explain? I want to put it in the right words. They're more active with the parent.
Okay, they're more engaged with the
Yes,
parents.
they are more engaged. They're more active with the parent. They want the parent to know where the kid needs help, where your child is lacking in learning. Unlike public school, it's like, your kid's not learning this. Maybe there's no, there's no real communication. There ain't, because even when my son, he was in public school, C's, D's. Went to charter schools, A's, B's, came home with the good grades, and so much. It's like he has so much opportunity, and it's like he got so much more help.
And so you want the best, of course.
Yes, of course. What parent doesn't want the best education for their kid? And this is why I'm fighting for this cap to get lifted, because it's not right. Parents like me that need their kids to get this help, and kids. I was told that my daughter might have to wait, being that my daughter is in high school now, to get her into the Springfield Charter School. She might have to wait a whole year, maybe 2 years. So my child might be getting into charter school and she's in her last year. She's going to
graduate, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Like, she doesn't have a chance. And I'm pretty sure it's not only my kid. There's a lot of kids, and I'm not talking about my kids. There's a lot of kids that deserve this.
But
they need that help.
There's certainly a lot of people who say, who don't agree with you, who say, look, charter schools are draining the budgets of the public schools. And charter schools are public schools run by private entities, but they're draining funds from the other schools. And they also say that, look, they're not serving English language learners. They're not serving children with disabilities. And what do you say to that?
Okay, so basically I just want to explain how the funding works for the public charter schools. There are public schools, but they're also privately funded in part. However, when a student from a district school goes to a charter school, the money follows the student. So that's a fact. The money follows the students. However, because the state doesn't want these district schools to lose their revenue because they're losing kids, the state actually reimburses the district schools 6 years later after they lose a child. So they're basically getting money for the children that they're no longer educating. So that's a subject for politicians to discuss. The laws are there. If it's being followed, that's something for the politicians to do. However, it's a fact that the money followed the students. If the student was in a district school and they lose it to a charter school, that money of his resources, his or her resources, goes to his new education, his or her new education in charter schools. About the ESL English language learners, it's depending where you get the data. There has been data released from the Department of from Elementary and Secondary Education that shows that for second year in a row, charter schools have been educating more English language learners than public district schools. But there's also results or data that show from the Massachusetts Teacher Associations that show the contrary. So we have to analyze, we have to see both sides, and we have to see actually what's going on. The fact is that the amount of English language learners and children with disabilities that are in charter has been growing. It has been growing. It depends if you want to see it on if it's bigger than the amount that is in district schools, but it just keeps growing, and if it keeps growing, it's because of some things.
So Michelle and Anna, thank you so much for joining us on this topic. It's an interesting one and certainly one that we'll be talking about for many months to come. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.